so this series only just started last week and dropped 3 episodes all at once. It seems like it's going to be following a normal weekly schedule starting with the recently aired 4th episode though, so I thought I'd share some of my thoughts on these first 4 episodes. So this series is set in ancient China. Certainly a very striking and rich setting, but it isn't one that has ever really appealed all that much to me personally. I feel the most at home with modern settings and most particularly modern Japan. Courtesans, palaces and emperors have got nothing on high school anime girls, but that's obviously just my dumb preferences. This show has a lovely aesthetic and our main character is voiced by Yuki Aoi, which is to say that she is very well voice acted. She is also just in general a charming and colorful character with a reasonably strong sense of personality already in this first episode, but that doesn't really salvage the fact that I found myself uninterested in the overall premise. Our main girl is working at an apothecary until she gets kidnapped and is made to work as a servant at some palace. And while here, eventually she saves some newborn babies from being unknowingly subjected to poison, and then the first episode just sort of ends. My anime list states that the genres here are drama and mystery, so I guess the show will end up following our cast as they solve various plots against the palace or something to that effect. In episode 2, our main girl moves to the Jade Pavilion and is given the job of testing this concubine lady's food for poisons. This purple-haired dude is also doing stuff, seemingly trying to influence main girl's decisions by charming her, but she isn't the least bit interested. I think this dynamic works in a pretty good way. I'm not typically fond of these arrogant type of male characters that treat their own appearance as some sort of asset and whom girls squee over as soon as they see him. But the fact that main girl gives no craps at all and is instead disgusted and put off by him is incredibly gratifying and fun. She has a really charming aura and a ton of great expressions. Seeing her nerd out about medicine-related things is also really cute, and the gap between her apathetic and cold expressions when compared to her passionate and excited ones is quite appealing. She has a decent breadth of expressions and this is a big plus for me. She is later tasked with making an aphrodisiac and is given access to a bunch of resources and facilities to make her be able to do this, and this gets her so hyped that she does an adorable little dance. This was pretty great. Then some weird ghost thing shows up and then the episode ends. Ominous. In episode 3, this ghost lady from the last episode turns out to just be someone sleepwalking, and main girl is asked to make a medicine to cure this. Main girl yet again earn a bunch more favor points from me on account of her being level-headed and rational among many others who are not. Instead of buying into the idea of it being a ghost, she dismisses this and tries to discern what is actually going on. Seeing her reach accurate conclusions through logical deduction is also something she does in a likable way, but a lot of this rides on the back of everyone else just being downright stupid. The way she thinks isn't all that noteworthy, she just happens to be rational rather than emotional. But the fact that this makes her stand out as some sort of genius who can solve and do things that nobody else at this massive palace can strikes me as a bit strange. Does this huge place really not have a single educated apothecary already, or even a single guard capable of basic deduction or thought? I wouldn't really describe main girl as a genius among commoners, I would rather describe her as a commoner among idiots. To be fair, I am looking at this from the perspective of someone in the 21st century. Maybe people didn't really have the same kinds of thought processes back in this era, but I still find it strange that this little girl would be the exception to this in that case. One would think that older people with more life experience would be more likely to have this same cognitive potential. But oh well, I guess. I am still enjoying this show more than I would have thought compared to my first impressions of the first episode. Episode 4 was the first that I watched on my TV, and the opening and ending for this show look absolutely insane on an OLED panel. They both make heavy use of spots that are completely black, in contrast with vivid colors, and this looks spectacular on a display that can properly reproduce these contrast differences. Awesome stuff. Mao Mao is tasked to help nurse a concubine back to health after having been subjected to that poison powder that killed her child in episode 1. And yet again, the conflict here mostly only exists due to the utter incompetence of everyone else except for Mao Mao. The caretakers for this sick lady aren't even allowing Mao Mao to enter at first, even though she's been sent on direct orders from the emperor himself. When Mao Mao brings her easily digestible food that is more suited for her sickly composure, she's thrown out by these morons who instead bring her nutrient-heavy food that the lady cannot eat. This does eventually lead up to a moment of relief when Mao Mao straight up smacks one of these caretakers in the face, after learning that she's still been applying the poison powder as makeup on this sick lady even though it was banned. At this point I started assuming she was doing it intentionally as a means to get this concubine out of the picture, but no. It does seem like she just had no idea that she was doing anything wrong. My suspension of disbelief is seriously being strained by how stupid everyone is. Mao Mao does indeed come across as a fantastic character in contrast to everyone else, but the way the show does this feels like cheating. It's sort of like you would say you're the best guitar player in your household, even though you are in fact the only one who plays guitar at all, making this achievement completely worthless. In the same vein, the fact that Mao Mao has a brain is only impressive relative to the fact that nobody else in this palace seems to have one. But if she would be put in a room with other brain havers, then she wouldn't stand out as much. To be fair, she is still plenty charming, and I have no doubt that her character would be strong enough to stand on her own, even among other strong characters. But it does rub me the wrong way how the show makes everyone else be unrealistically dumb so that Mao Mao can stand out more. All of this aside though, I do mostly like the tone of this show, and I think Mao Mao is enjoyable to watch. The visuals are also very lovely, so I think I'll continue watching this one to the end. Thanks for watching my stuff, I hope you have a cool day, and see you next time maybe.